Hello, everybody. What is hello? Hello, how you doing? Once you let me know you can hear me, that's how we're probably going to always do these now. When you let me know, we're going to jump right in. I did see some chatter in the chat about lime, so I grabbed a lime Waterloo. I don't know what the chat's about. I have no idea. Casey Buckler, after 13 attempts, my first live intro. Casey, if I had an applause button, I would hit it, but I don't have one. Such a great crowd again. Thank you all for hanging out here. Copper Sound is in the chat. This is fun. We're blazing a trail of insanity where I'm breadboarding for long periods of time and people are watching it. I'm always astounded at things that I end up doing. This is one of those things, if I told my 16, 18-year-olds, my 30-year-old self, hey, you'll be on YouTube breadboarding small signal electronic audio circuits, and a bunch of nerds like you will enjoy it. It's hard to believe, but here we are. We're going to do a big giveaway today. So first off, I'm going to use, just some house cleaning out of the way. I've been using the smaller little breadboard, the Copper Sound DIY. I have the big boy on here, and I've already pre-attached the ground and powers across those rails. So as you know, these rails touch. I have it all kind of pre-attached. I have my DCA plugged in over here. I might or might not test a few transistors, but that's what we're doing. And the first thing I want to get into is a big giveaway that I'm so excited about. Again, this is just what happened, and thanks to viewers like you, this show's continuing, and I love it. It's one of the more fun things I do. I love the smaller crowd that's really into it. Man, y'all are my people, and this is fun. And so we're going to give away the first ever JHS Josh Scott Short Circuit Parts Kit by Copper Sound. It's a mouthful, but if you go to their website, you've done this with me. Go to Copper Sound Pedals, and you can kind of go in here and look at these bundles and stuff like that. Let's click the bundle. You'll notice right here the LPV1 Boosta Drive a Fuzz as seen on Short Circuit. How freaking cool is that? So now you can buy that and build it out. All the parts are there. Super amazing documentation. Let me show you how good they are at this. I'm gonna brag on Copper Sound. I've known Copper Sound for years. We've worked with mutual artists and friends, and they're from Massachusetts, and I have all kinds of friends in Massachusetts now through the pedal community. But I've always thought amazing stuff. But man, just to work on this and see how professional they are has been so fun. Check this out. Here's the PDF, the build guide. Look, they did the little Short Circuit as seen on TV. Look at the quality that they do this in. Like this, I love it when people don't halfway do something. I just love stuff done all the way. They added power filtering, which is really cool. Power filtering has been talked about here. There's a link in the description right now. Step 2, input, shows you the input. Gain section. So these are very educational, the way they're doing it. Biasing, they have the little trim pot in there. High pass filtering and clipping. This is done so well. I'm just a fan of things done well. And man, I love this. I love this so much. Biasing and output. Here's the OG schematic from my scribbles. It's on there. Troubleshooting. Yeah, like this is, I don't have an applause button, but let's all do an applause across the internet. Let's just all thank you, Copper Sound. You're pros. My hat that I never wear goes off to you. And here we are today with the final Electra. I have spent, as of right now, about 10 hours and some change on just the Electra Distortion, one of the most famous circuits ever, used by Earthquaker, Love Pedal, like everyone's used the circuit. I've always wanted to do a pedal with this circuit and never have, so here it is. Today I'm giving you the design. Let me walk through the process of kind of the history one quick time. This was the schematic to the MPC electric guitar module called the Boost Amp, October 7th of 76. In the early days of internet, this was posted and someone added the clipping diodes right there. And today we have the Shrieking Ill. My contribution to the legacy of the Electra. The JHS Shrieking Ill Premium Electra Distortion Device. I want to see in those comments before I start if someone understands the Shrieking Ill reference. Who gets it? And then I'm going to dive right into building this bad boy. I'm waiting. I'm patiently waiting, and I'm going to take a sip of my Waterloo Lemon Lime while someone figures out the Shrieking Ill reference. Oh, I'm staring. I'm staring at that chat. Princess Bride, Jake Kendrick. Jake Kendrick got it on my end. Boca Negra, if you're watching this, I want to do something special to celebrate this insanity. Let Jacob Howard pick any 3 Series pedal he wants and send it to him for free on me. All right, this is a celebration of a legendary circuit and my contribution to it through this class and all the, oh my God, I've spent so much time on this and it's been so fun. It's the thing where like, it's such a simple circuit. It's not rocket science, but there's so many little things you can do and little finesses you can put here and there. And I've had a true pleasure. It's been a joy teaching it to you, and it's party time. Let's just get to it. Jacob, you're welcome. I see you there. Bell says, ooh la la. Yeah, ooh la la. All right. At the end of this, we'll have 11 and a half hours of Electra content. I think that's insane. And thanks for hanging out with me. Let's get to work. So the first thing is we just need to start the circuit. I'm going to go slowly. If you were here yesterday or whenever, day before, you know, I had a breadboard that didn't work. But yeah, we're going to spread it out a little bit here. And I'm going to go stage by stage. All right, so the first thing I want to do is just come right in with that input, and I want to just get this section built right here. I want to build the input. Now, that input section is the Uncle Earl's Tone Daddy control. It consists of 2 parallel capacitors that are blended through a variable resistor, a potentiometer. You can use this on any circuit. You can throw it in the front of a DOD 250, a tube screamer, whatever you want to do. It's just a blendable frequency control. You're just choosing between the 2 caps, the 0.0033, which is a smaller cap, which only passes high frequency, and the 0.047, which still cuts a lot of low, the proper amount for guitar, but has some low end. So that's where we're at here. And it's party time, y'all. So the input is the yellow wire here on the desk. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these capacitors out. I'm actually going to place the potentiometer. This is a B100K, and I'm calling this Uncle Earl's Tone Daddy whatever. I'm just calling it body. If you look on the schematic, it just says body. I think that encapsulates what's actually going on with the control. So we're going to place it right here. And this is lug 1, 2, 3. And show you a little trick. I used to do this. I don't have a fine tip Sharpie, but what you can do is You can write on these lugs. You could write 1, 2, 3 just to help your brain, as you've seen me mess up a few times on the show. Basically, you just, when you got a lot going on, you can forget stuff. So 1, 2, 3, and looking at the schematic, the 0.0033 needs to touch lug 1. So you're coming off the input right here. Your guitar's coming through, and I want to make that connection right now. So let's do that connection. Input to the cap, and the cap to lug 1. There. I'm pausing, taking a breath, which I advise, and I'm just making sure I'm in the right aisles. Call these aisles or lines, because my problem on the last short on the last short circuit was I missed like a line. I had it over here. So that's connected. The next thing I want to do is I want to connect the other one. We're going to connect the 0.047 to the same, well, lug 3. That's how it blends. So let's look at that off the input. And I'm gonna, it's got long enough legs, so I'm just gonna kind of bend it over here. Take my time. And that is, they're both connected properly. The guitar input's coming through this jack. Copper Sounds Amazing board has these little terminals, so the input's touching there, and it's going to lug 3. Now I need to off the, I've basically done this connection right here. So now I want to go and make this connection, okay? So I'm going to the base of the transistor. Remember, we have base, collector, emitter, okay? Base, collector, emitter. So let's do that. So for this transistor, let me talk to you about the transistor. You'll notice in my notes I have a little star and it says 2N5088, and then at the bottom there's another star right here, and I kind of say, hey, like, here's the deal, just try stuff. Any NPN transistor over 100 gain HFE, anything you want to try is going to work. That even counts for germanium, because the way I built this, we have a bias control. So the lower you use, so a 100 HFE is going to be a cleaner circuit than a 1000 or something. Like if you put in an MPS A18, you're going to have, it's the highest gain transistor you can buy because it's actually multiple transistors in one package. So that's going to drive the clipping diodes more. And when that signal goes through here to that point, the more high gain your transistor is, that signal is going to hit these diodes harder. So just keep that in mind and just try stuff. Like, there's no wrong answer here. I went around the moon and you saw me. I have all these bougie vintage parts and stuff. But at the end of the day, I literally just think probably the best transistor for this circuit is the classic boring 2N5088. Like, it's so boring. It's just they cost like negative money. You can, like, just use it. It's great. Let's see what the gain is out of curiosity on this one. So I plugged it in here. There's my terminals. Let's see what it measures at. Just so you know. 571. That's great. And I think that's why I do like it. It's 100's good. Pretty low gain. You're not going to drive the diodes hard enough. In my opinion, it's more of a boost, right? 100's going to feel like a good dirty boost. Keep that in mind. 100 transistor HV, dirty boost. This, you put an MPS A18 in there, you're going to have, like, you could have more fuzz potential. And that's what I put here on these notes on the schematic in the bottom left corner. This 5088 is like middle of the road, man. It might get a little fuzzy with humbuckers, but if you got a Strat, it'll do the clean thing really nice. So that's why I like it, and that's what we're going to do. So what I want to do now is connect that line, this line right here. I got to get that connected. So I have to go to the base of the transistor. All right. So I want to place my transistor somewhere kind of out of the way. I want this to feel clean and very visible. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to kind of put Mr. Transistor over there. And I need to come out of the middle of this potentiometer. You notice on the schematic, lug 2 here is what connects that road to the base. Okay. Let me erase that. So see, lug 2 is what actually connects to the base of the transistor. So I'm going to use, I'm not going to do the big jumper things. I think I'm going to do some of these wire pieces that I have. You can make your own. I'm going to use these. I'll probably just use a bunch of yellow ones. They're nice. They're just like kind of pre-stripped ends on them. This stuff's so cheap. You can find it everywhere. Copper Sound might even have some. I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I need to come off of the middle lug per the schematic. Right? Plugged it in. And then I want this to touch the base. The base is the middle leg right there. That's a little bit of a stretch, but let's like the wire's long enough. So let's make sure we have some right angles where it bends. That end is really not long enough for my comfort. So I'm actually going to strip it right here. Is this kind of like Bob Ross to some of you? Is that what's going on? I hear myself talk and I want to fall asleep. Maybe this is like Bob Ross. I don't know. I'm not saying, I mean, Bob Ross is amazing. I'm just saying I sound boring when I listen to myself. But Bob Ross had that like cool, boring thing. So maybe that's what I have. All right. So we have that connection made. Let's put some red ink on the pen. We have made that connection. Let's go ahead and put the 1 meg here. You'll notice that most schematics show a 2 meg 2 here. I want to remind you, all this is doing is creating leakage between the base and the collector. Now, leakage just means that current is flowing between those legs when it shouldn't be. But that's a cool thing. And germanium transistors have leakage, and you actually measure it and consider it when you're building tone benders and things. So if you're doing a germanium version of this, just make a mental note right now. You can actually do away with this 1 meg. But it does add stability and it doesn't hurt anything. But you don't have to use it. But we're going to put it in because you have to have it. You have to have the 1 meg base collector on a silicon because silicon transistors don't leak. So we need to give it the leakage, and that helps bias the transistor. All right. So 1 meg. Where are you, 1 meg? You're over here in the corner behind the camera. Let's see. The Shrieking Ill. What a great name. Princess Bride's one of those movies. It hits hard, you know, still hits hard. All right, here's a 1 meg. And I'm going to do the stand-up thing so it stays kind of clean. The stand-up thing is this. You just kind of take your resistor and bend it like that. And then instead of like laying it out vertically or horizontally, you can just clip that to be the same length like this. And then look, you kind of have like a stand-up resistor that's really nice for the breadboard. And it's really nice as well for certain PCB builds. You'll notice if you ever modify a tube screamer like a TS9, they actually do this on most of the resistors. They don't lay the resistors out flat because it's really wasteful real estate. All right, so we're putting in that 1 meg. All right, here we go. We're going to connect it as shown. I'm carefully looking because even I get confused and get busy. The base and the collector. Right, I'm going to put it up closer to the transistor. Right there. I'm going to take my pliers. Notice I'm going slow today because I don't want to redo this. I do want to attempt to make this work first time. There you go. I also think I'm going to consider a new overhead camera. All right, this is a Sony ZV-1. It has like a built-in zoom lens. It doesn't quite zoom enough. I'm aware of that. I'd like to zoom in more here. So I'll probably switch cameras for the fuzz face and make this a little, I'd like to like crop it way in. So we'll get there. This is a show in progress, if you know what I mean. All right. So that's done. Now I think we can basically pick, do I want to do like, you know, do I want to do like this section or this section? Just, you know, you have an emitter and collector side. It doesn't really matter. So let's do this bias right here, 25K trim pot. I want to attach it at that junction. And so the reason I have trim pot here, and I'll say this circuit, the Shrieking Eel, you notice the green highlighted values, those are the, you could call it, that's the knobs to the pedal, right? If you wanted to have external knobs, you could have 4. I recommend making this control I'm about to do, if you were to build this out in the pedal, I would just have it in the pedal, but it is a gain control. The bias can be used as a gain control. So I would build this pedal with 3 knobs. You might want this to be, you know, like an actual knob on the pedal. So do whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter. But it's a 25K trim pot that you, it loves my face, that camera. 25K trim pot. So let's put that one and kind of face it like this. And I'm not going to put a knob on it either. It's unnecessary. But like that's some good proximity. My plan here is I'm gonna use some more of this real estate. That's why I used the bigger one. I'm not gonna cram it all in this section. I'm gonna kind of move around. I want to just spread it out so it's neater. So let's do this. And it's really simple. I have to basically just connect right here and wire up a variable resistor to 9-volt positive. That's really all I'm doing. Like, this is really, really simple. I'm just wiring up a variable resistor there so that I can turn the resistor and choose how much voltage actually gets to the circuit. I don't want 9 volts to a transistor. It won't work. I need to get it down to 7 to get it to turn on. And then the lower you get that, the dirtier the pedal is. So you might even get gating fuzz stuff, you know, depending on how you do it. So, all right, let's start making these connections. So I'm going to come off of the collector right here. I see that I erased my own writing. We're just coming off the collector. So easy peasy. This is where I messed up yesterday or whenever that was, day before yesterday. The collector is on this side. So right here, I'm plugging in the collector and I'm going to lug one of the potentiometer, all right? And actually, it doesn't matter. You could reverse this and it doesn't matter. I'm going to go into lug 3. It doesn't matter. It only affects which way you turn the pot. So you can do it like I wrote it, or you could reverse that. You could go into lug 3, you could go into lug 1. It doesn't really matter because I'm just using it as an internal trim pot. So, all right, so we're plugged in collector into lug 3 here. I have lug 1 on the paper, but it's fine. It doesn't matter. Now, lug, if you notice here, I just have these lugs tied together. That's what this means. So 3 and 2 are touching. So basically, you can do that several different ways. I mean, one of the ways, you don't have to use all 3 lugs. And so I'm just going to come out of lug 2 and I'm going to go to 9-volt positive right here. I'm going to plug it into 9-volt positive. And that's enough for that to work. You don't have to tie them together. You can. You saw me on some earlier episodes. I have these little like breadboard jumper staples. These little staple things here. See that? I mean, I can do that. Let's do it just to show you. These come in breadboard kits. You can buy like little breadboard wire kits. Spread that out just a little bit. And yeah, like you can like put that staple in there and join those 2 legs if you want. Totally not necessary for breadboarding, but that's fine. All right, so I have completed this section. Now we're not gonna like measure this yet. Notice I have some notes here. I'm circling in pink, you know, dirtier, 4.5 is spec. Dirtier is more, more voltage. Cleaner, actually I have that backwards. Cleaner is less voltage. There's my edit. I knew there would be an edit. Yeah. Let me make a note. I told the Copper Sound guys, I was like, I'm pretty sure I have this schematic actually done. So I'll update that, but it doesn't hurt your build. It's just that I explained it backwards because sometimes I think backwards. So I'll do just make myself a note, 4.5 volt error on schematic. And I'll fix that right after this episode, and then it'll be updated. So if you're watching this later, it'll be fixed. All right. So let's keep trucking. Let's do this emitter section. Let's jump down to this emitter here. Looking good in the comments. I'm keeping an eye on you. I'm looking down. I'm seeing a little bit. Let's do this section. All right. So I'm going to call this the dirt control. This is where you would actually change the... This is the overdrive knob. This is the distortion knob. I would call this a distortion that does really good overdrive. And might get into fuzz depending on the guitar. So, this control C1K. So this is a pot value you haven't seen me use. It's a reverse audio taper. So C1K. I like this because of how it sweeps through the 1000 ohms, the 1K of resistance. It's different than linear. You know, we're all linear taper club here, but this kind of, on this control, essentially what we have going on is the emitter wants to bias down here to ground. That's what it wants, but I'm not giving it that. I don't want it to do that. So I'm putting it through a potentiometer that is essentially sending it through a 220 ohm to ground. And that's the, remember the ladder of potentials? I said the collector to the emitter, it's an up and down ladder of potential. Well, that's what this is doing. This resistor is stabilizing the transistor, okay? But this cap is called a bypass capacitor. You see this in tube amps. You see it in the LPB1 design that I did that you can now get from Copper Sound. This is bypassing or leaking signal and current to that ground, while at the same time, the 220 resistor is actually keeping it stable. So it's the best of both worlds. It's the Miley Cyrus of transistor biasing. I can't believe I just said that. This arrangement on my dirt control is the Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana. It's the best of both worlds. All right, that needs to be a shirt. I'm scared to see what that would look like. Where do we put it? C1K, where do we put you? I'm gonna put you right here. I like that. I'm gonna go ahead and put these two knobs on. Let's see here. So, it's just so helpful having knobs on the pedal or on the circuit. Yeah, so now you get the gist of like what the crap's going on. Let's see here. You be the best of both worlds. Hanging out for the... Wait, is it rocking out for the show? Hanging out, take it slow. What are the... My daughter never really got into that. What's the song? Can somebody post the lyrics and I'll sing them properly as I mess with this circuit? We should have Belle do a Hannah Montana Pedal World News where she dresses up like Hannah Montana. That'd be fun. She would hate that. All right, so those two are on. That looks good. Okay. All right, so back here, because a lot's happened, including a Hannah Montana reference. I'm building this C1K bypass cap, stabilizing cap, and this is Hannah Montana right here. Hannah Montana, this arrangement, all this. You're welcome. Okay. So let's wire it up. It's basically just coming right off the emitter. No big deal. Let me erase the literal nonsense I have been scribbling on this poor document. Let's erase it. All right, here's what matters. Let's erase all this too. Let's make it all pretty again. Here we go. So yeah, we're coming through here. So we're going to go into lug 3 from the emitter, right? That's the emitter, that's the base, that's the collector. So the emitter is right here. It's on this line, that line right there. So I want to take that to lug 3, and that is lug 3. And this orientation matters because I want the pot to work. The gain, it gets turned up. It's blending in the Hannah Montana topology. This is called the Hannah Montana blend right here. Okay, so I need to just simply connect the emitter to lug 3. Easy peasy. I have my wires here. I'm just going to put it right there. And then lug 3 is right here. It's real sturdy and stable. That's done. Next up, let's see here. Let's go ahead and connect. We have a cap and a resistor, essentially, a 10 UF and a 220R. Now notice this plus symbol right here. This is polarized. Caps over 1 UF usually have a polarity, meaning they need to face a certain way. So the plus side faces this way because the energy of the circuit is all up here, the positive side of that energy. And then your ground is here, so the ground of the cap touches the ground of the circuit. That's the only thing you have to know. It's real simple. People make it complicated, but that's stupid because it's not complicated. All right. So here's that capacitor. When you're looking at a capacitor, an electrolytic, you have two ways to know how it's polarized. The first thing is that one leg is longer than the other. That's positive always. If you get some part that's like already hacked on or something, like I have some here that are just like butchered, right? Like I've done something crazy with that cap. So the other thing is you'll usually see a line, like you'll see a line that has, it's a negative symbol, like a mathematical rectangle and a stripe. That's your negative leg. So helpful. Nobody tells you this stuff in most cases, so there you go. All right, let's check it out. We need to just simply connect. Again, the emitter went into lug 3. Lug 2 needs the long leg of this cap. That's how I'm thinking. So, but it's also going to go to ground. So I need to connect the cap here, the positive leg, and then here are my ground rails, right? So how do I make this pretty and neat? I don't want to obsess over it, but I don't want to clutter this. So I'm going to go this way. I'm going to go that way. And I'm going to connect that long leg right here. Get my pliers. Don't want to freak out and like worry too much, but I do want it to look good. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to drag that shorter negative leg over and into a ground plane, negative plane on the breadboard. And I'm going to lay the cap down. And like, it just helps. To me, that looks really great. All right. Now the next piece is the 220 ohm resistor. So I've gotten this done. I actually connected that whole line. Now I need to connect that. So lug 2 also has that resistor. We call this parallel. That cap and that resistor are in parallel. They're working together, and we have now called it the Hannah Montana. I need an official, all right, let's name this. Bell, don't let me forget this. This is called the Hannah, we have Uncle Earl's Tone Daddy blend control. And now we have the Hannah Montana emitter feedback configuration. No, the Hannah Montana emitter bypass configuration. Hannah Montana emitter bypass configuration. And these are copy pastable to other circuits. So when I say Uncle Earl's Tone Daddy control, you know what it is. And now we have the Hannah Montana emitter bypass control or something, whatever I said. Great. I like this. I like injecting some pop culture into our world. All right, same thing, right off the same lug 2. And I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to put it in lug 2. I'm going to drag it over here. And yeah, it just feels clean. I like that. I'm going to stand my transistor up a little bit more. It looks good. It's clean. I can problem solve it. I can see the legs. I can see the lines. Feels good. All right. Hannah Montana emitter bypass. Done. All right. Here we go. Now we're going to come out. The output of this circuit is the collector. This is a common emitter topology, and the output always comes off that collector. So we need to install the 0.47. 0.47 is an odd choice. You don't see it a lot. You just don't see it a lot. I had a 0.1 in here, and I was like, I don't love it. Like, I was like, I don't really like it. So I'm on 0.47 because that front Uncle Earl blend control, I feel like it allows, there's just something nicer about the 47. I don't want it to shave any more off the back end. And this will make it even better for bass guitar if you do want to use it for bass. I would advise a 1 UF for bass on this position, but the 0.47 just lets it be chunky. If you want to play some big power chords, it's going to handle it really well. And that's why we're doing this. And it's an odd parts choice for sure. So it needs to come off that collector. That collector is right here. No, see, I almost did it again. That collector is right here. Okay. So I could jump, I don't know. I need to jump off of it again. I'm going to come over here, I think. Is that long enough to do? Yeah, it is. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to bend this down like at a right angle. So it's like bent. See that? Okay. I'm going to do that on the other side as well. I'm just going to make some nice right angles. That way this like plugs in instead of me having to like shove it in there. So that collector is here. It's going over to this lug 1. So I can put this wire here on the lug 1. That's the contact point of the circuit. And that reaches nicely over to position 45 on the breadboard, which you see right here. These are numbered. That's 45. So there's my output of the circuit. So you can kind of in your mind, you know, we've gone in, the Uncle Earl's Tone Daddy control, the amplifier itself, the bias of the collector, the Hannah Montana emitter bypass. And then now we're at the output. And this is where I want to put this cap, and I'm going to place it right there over the bridge. What that means, again, if you're tuning in and haven't tracked along for the 90 hours of the show, this is a break in the lines because you use it for op amps, but you can also put your caps across it if you want to. So I'm going to do that right there. That's my output. And we automatically know, looking at this, so I have that plugged in. I am now here at the clipping diodes. All right, so we're here now. I need to install the clippers. So let's do that, I guess. Looking at the board, let's look at the schematic. Look closely. Here's what I have going on with the clippers. The signal comes from the 0.47 and it hits the clippers. I have 4 diodes in symmetrical series. Now what that means is this diode is a BAT41 and this one is a 1N4148. This is a BAT41 and this is a 1N4148. So these that I'm touching here, I'm touching them with a green line. Let me draw it on here. Same component. I didn't write it on both sides. Just know the top 2, those are BAT41s, and the bottom 2 are 1N4148s. Now, what this does is you get the best of both worlds. Again, this is, I'm not going to name this Hannah Montana clipping, but we could. You basically end up with more headroom and a softer compression, and you get some of your volume back that you normally lose. If we were just to put 2 diodes here, you get more volume taken away. I like this arrangement. You saw me do it. I did it right here. I mean, I love this arrangement. Like literally the clipping diodes on that are me doing the same thing almost. There are lots of fancy ways to play with this. The BAT 41s kind of land in a germanium, really low forward voltage, and the 4 and 4/8 are just classic. And there's bougie versions of all these, but this works really great. So notice these are going this direction and these are going this direction, okay? It's important that you realize those polarities are going different directions, and what that ensures is that you are clipping both sides of the waveform evenly. I like symmetrical. One thing you could do here, and this is where it's like just try stuff, you could just get rid of that one, and then you have asymmetrical clipping. You could just get rid of that one and have asymmetrical. The point is, do anything you want in the clipping section. This is what I like, and that's what'll be in the kit. All right, so let's install it. I have 2 BAT 41s here, the Blue Boys, and I have 2 1 and 4 and 4/8. 1 and 4 and 4/8 are in they're in like my Morning Glory, they're in some of the Timmy's. They're just they're basically the Tube Screamer clipping diode. And then the BATs, like I said, they have become kind of a modern replacement for germaniums because germaniums are finicky and stupid sometimes. All right. One thing I actually want to consider here when I look at the board, I need this output wire to essentially get here, but I have a volume pot first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have, I'm going to go ahead and place, no, I'm not. I'm actually just going to bring the clipping off of this point. I'm going to put a jumper wire right here. And that's going to put my clipping in this section so that I can have my master volume here. I want to kind of pull the clipping down so it looks neat and it's just easier to get to for the sake of building in front of you. It's spreading it out a little bit. So I'm jumping off of that output cap. And you can see that in the schematic. If you stare at the schematic, the output cap goes straight to the volume pot, and the diodes are just kind of grabbing on for the ride, right? You don't even need the diodes. If you pull the diodes out, it's a boost pedal of some sort. So the diodes are like, they're not the main attraction. They're just kind of leeching onto the circuit, and they are causing change, but they're not making the circuit work. So there's my jumper down to diode land. I have this ground plane plugged in right here. So we're going to make that arrangement. I'm going to do a triangle arrangement so it's easy to see. The first thing will be the BAT 41s. I'm going to go right here and plug that in. That's my left side of the schematic. If you're looking at the schematic, you see 4 diodes. I'm doing the left section first. Okay, left section first. My black line is on this side. That's the negative side of the diode. And then I'm going to match that polarity with my 1N4148. And I'm going to send it, I'm going to connect those legs together in series, just like that. They're both facing, the negative side of those is facing the same way, that way. And that goes to ground. So that's my left side. I'm going to mirror that, but flip it around the other way. That's all I'm doing here to do the right side. If you look at the right side of the clipping, same exact thing, it's just backwards. So that's clipping both sides of the waveform. All right. And I'm plugging it in there. Plug it in. I'm going to spread these out so you can see it a little better. Good visual there. And ba-da-da-bum. Boom. I'm seeing someone say, can you crank up the volume of my voice? Yeah, I can give a little more volume. There you go. And now I'm just going to insert the 1N4148. Same direction as this one. and do it right there. Cool. Remember, if you're watching, I do these totally alone. This is in my workshop basement. I'm building the circuit. I'm making notes. I'm watching the stream. I'm running the cameras with a switcher. I'm monitoring the audio. It's a lot. So forgive me if I was too quiet earlier. I thought it was loud enough, but apparently you were hearing me because I heard people talking about Hannah Montana. So my job is done in that arena. All right. So the clippers are hooked up. Output clipping to ground. Symmetrical clipping. Each side is clipped this way. The two diodes in series on each side of the waveform just give it a softer feel, a little more compressed, like little lighter. It's like, you know, there's like Budweiser and there's Bud Light. This is like Bud Light. This is not fully Bud. You're getting the best of each diode, but it's less of the best. It's light. It's the light beer of clipping. All right. Here we go. Now I just want to do the volume control and we're done. This is exciting. So that volume control, if you see, lug 3 of a 250K linear pot. I have not used a 250K. Josh, why do you want to use a 250K all of a sudden? Josh, you've said in previous short circuits that B100K is your favorite volume. Why are you doing this, Josh? Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing it? I'm doing it because I want to, and because 250K potentiometers don't get enough attention. And by God, I'm going to show them some attention today. The 250K linear potentiometer is double plus some of the 100K. It offers 250,000 ohms of resistance. The 100K only has 100,000, and that's lame. For this circuit, I went with this because more is better. But what does it actually do in the circuit? Well, those of you watching, all 12 of you, it just spreads it out more. When I turn the control, it just spreads it out. It feels like it takes longer to get there. And I know somebody's going to bash me in the comments and want to see graphs and charts of this, of how it works. I don't care how it works. It just feels really better in this circuit. There's something about the Electra. The Electra is really crude. It's loud, but then you add the clipping diodes and you got to play with that interaction. It's clipping really well, but now I took the volume away. I found the perfect balance of circuit here, and I just like the 250K. And that's my platform for this argument. 250K is 150,000 ohms resistance more better than the 100K. Moving on. All right, we're going to plug it in right here. Nope, I'm going to move it down. That was too much. Let's put it like all the way down here. All right, let's put a knob on there. I'm seeing what would a 1 meg be like. Just try it out. It's amazing. All right, let's plug it up. Get this screwed in here. I feel like this screwdriver is like at one time worked really well, and now it's, I don't know. I like this brand. Wadded. I like the brand Weeha. Nice brand. All right, there's our volume pot. How do we connect it? Real simple. This is our output. I just need to jump over here to lug 3. If you look on the schematic, it enters lug 3. I want to keep that orientation because I want it to turn a certain way. I want this to be off and I want this to be fully on. This position means the pot's not even there. It's full blast, 0 resistance. A lot of you may not realize your volume controls on most pedals are not actually adding any volume. They're backwards taking volume away. Most circuits are built wide open. All the classics, fuzz faces, etc. Just wide open. and you put a pot resistor on it so you can turn it down. That's all we're doing here. The volume pot literally is just an attenuator. And I want it to be pot is out of the circuit here, meaning loudest, and that would be the full 250K resistance, in turn turning it off. So I need to get from that output to lug 3, which is pretty easily done. Let's grab another one of these. I'm doing great on time, assuming the circuit works. Let's see here. The chat is very vibrant. Bell, make some notes if there's any good ideas. I see something about logos and all kinds of funny stuff. Here is, I'm plugging into the output. I'm on the other side of the cap. That's important. This cap, the signal comes in, goes through this 0.47, and this decouples the circuit from AC that comes from other pedals and amps and stuff. And it also sets a frequency. So you want to be on the other side of this. And I'm going to go into lug 3. Remember? 1, 2, 3. Oh, I'm actually backwards. 1, 2, 3. This is lug 3. I said it wrong. That's lug 1, lug 2, lug 3. So I want to go in right here on lug 3. And I'm just going to stand this wire up a little taller, try to keep it neat, and put that right there. I see Nick in here of fuzzboxes.org. Nick, drop your link in here so people can stare at your amazing fuzz knowledge. He is unrivaled in his knowledge of all insane British fuzzes. He's been a massive help to me. Nick Sternberg. Drop your link, bro. We care. Everyone cares. We're all nerds. All right, now I need to keep collecting. I need to keep wiring this. I want to get lug 1 to ground. I'm on this output, and lug 2 is the output. So let's just do that real quick. That means the middle lug goes to the output jack. So I have this already plugged into the out, which goes to the jack. I'm going to bend it a little bit. Bam. Lug. Middle lug connected to the output. And then I just need this to go to ground right here. And that is necessary for this output. Okay. All right, here we go. Anybody see any errors? I know some of you are really good builders. Do you see any mistakes? I feel like every time I've had a mistake, a couple of you actually were trying to tell me the mistake, and I can't read all the comments and keep my mind everywhere. All right. We have someone that says late to the stream. Why is it called Electra? What's that referencing? Oh, that's one of those things you're like, there's 10 hours of this one thing in our past. Everyone join around and help that person. Very glad you're here. All right, this circuit should work. I'm scared to try it, but it should work. I'll tell you what we'll do first before I turn it on. Let's set our multimeter here. Let's plug the multimeter, the black into the ground plane. And I'm going to plug the red into the collector. I see 8.04, which is very exciting to my very scared tiny heart that it wasn't going to work. That means I'm getting voltage, so I did something right there. If I turn this control, I should get, this is so nice. I'm assuming my circuit works, but I haven't heard it. It's kind of like those Kinder eggs where you get a toy, but you don't know what the toy is. My toy could be pain and suffering of the circuit not working, or my toy could be the shrieking eel distortion. All right. I had my leg propped up. I'm definitely 42. I'm feeling 42. I don't know about you. Little weird bend in my leg. It's painful. All right. Turn my amp on. I'm so afraid to try this. You know, I just had problems the other day. You were here. You all tried to help me. But I'm seeing some veteran breadboarders say no problems. Good so far. All right, everybody take a drink. Here we go. You'll first hear my clean signal, supposedly. I'm turning my Sovtech on. Again, my path here is just my MiG 50, and you're hearing the aux box. It works! It works! Does it work properly? Oh my gosh. I'm king of the world. I built the Shrieking Eel, and it works. Everybody, I'm asking for something I'm asking for applause. I deserve applause right now because I've had so many issues. I don't deserve applause because I'm special. I just deserve applause because I'm not going to have a meltdown and have to rebuild this. All right, so I have a DL4 back here. Just a little something. All right, here's the bypass signal. Let's go down to this view. Let's work through this. Just because it's on doesn't mean it's sounding right. So let's get here. So much love in the chat. So much love. Man, I feel good. I feel like I could do anything right now. Could tune my guitar later. All right, that's my bypass. Let me turn my mic off so you just hear the amp. I'm gonna tune. I have a Walrus canvas tuner down here. I need to tune. So while I tune, let's tell some jokes in the comments. Why is 6 afraid of 7? Because 7, 8, 9. Is that the only joke I know? That might be the only joke I know. Drop some jokes in the comments and I'll read one real quick. I gotta read one joke, and then we're tuning this pedal. Let's see. I'm a little ahead of you. It's okay though. I'm waiting on one new joke. People are offended by this joke. And Belle says, "Oh, Josh, no." Belle's scared of my humor. She needs to embrace my humor. I'm looking. There's got to be a joke. Someone's got to deliver. I have plenty of time for this. We're here as a community. I could care less about... I don't care about views. This is not the place to worry about views. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Michael Kraus. Where do zombies live? Where do zombies live? Dead end streets. Bam. I gotta get an applause button. All right. Let's see here. I noticed in my bypass there's some clipping. Let me get like a real nice clean sound. Give me just a second. I'm gonna mute my mic. You'll see me messing with knobs here. Hold on. That feels good. That's kind of what I want. The amp's just like maybe clipping a little in a nice way. So, all right, let's tune it in. So let me show you the extremes of the bias. All right, the extremes of the bias are with this transistor. All right, keep in mind, you're going to use different transistors, right? Because on the schematic, bottom left corner, just try stuff, all right? Those rules are there. You're going to use different things. With a 5088 and the bias all the way down, I'm about 1.3 volts. And if I turn my distortion control down, my Hannah Montana control, if I put my Uncle Tone Daddy EQ thing kind of halfway there, that's sort of neutral. So keep in mind, that's just distortion from the bias being really low. I'm starving the transistor. I'm going to turn this control. Listen to me chug this while this number goes up due to me turning this. See, it gets a lot cleaner. The higher the number, the cleaner. I wrote it backwards on my note, and I'll change that later. If you downloaded this schematic right now, that's wrong, my little note in red. But so this is a dirt control. My advice is, see, it's off. Transistor turns on around probably 7 volts. I think I like 3 volts here for the 5088. That's the single coil setting here. Sounds really great. One thing to keep in mind here, this input control, the 0.0033 in parallel with the 047, the more you go this way, the more bass you're introducing. And bass equals gain. And gain on the front of the transistor input means more distortion. So this also has this element where this is part of how the dirt happens. If I have it here, I'm in a treble booster mode. And it's actually cleaner than it will be. I'm going to roll this up and let you hear it. So let's keep that. I like it at halfway right there. It's a nice neutral point. The C1K Hannah Montana emitter bypass control. I'm going to turn it up and I'm just going to hit the A note here, let you listen. And it's a crackle okay. It's moving DC voltage. It is what it is. It's fine. It doesn't hurt anything, but you do hear a noise. Also, notice that number moving because this is a ladder of potential. Remember, collector emitter is a ladder of potential bias. The the bypass. I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to now just play with these controls here and kind of show you what's going on. I'll even play with the bias a bit, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about final thoughts here on the whole thing, read some comments, etc. One of the things I find really interesting about this circuit is it like does the John Mayer Grateful Dead sound, which is essentially like pretty much always existing amp. But what I'm getting at is there's a reason people like, there's a reason that Love Pedal and like the Church of Tone and the Chula, those are marketed as amplifier drives. It just feels like an amp. It feels like I'm in a room with a big amp or a little amp or whatever, however you tune the circuit. And there's something about the clean tones. They're never clean. They're like perfectly furry. Like they're just kind of like, there's a little sizzle and it cuts. It like feels really great and it cuts. So I just want to say, the Shrieking Ill premium Electra distortion device, it's a distortion, absolutely. It's hard clipping, but it has this nuance to it. And I think that's why people love this circuit. There's something about the simplicity. There's just something about it. And that's kind of the feeling I get about the circuit, if that's helpful. You're not going to get like white zombie distortion tones. This is a distortion that's more, it's like a sensitive distortion. Okay. So I'm dimed gain-wise, or as I would say, dirt control. But look, my treble, I'm in like the treble boost mode. Part of it almost feels like the reason I go to the Grateful Dead thought is like that Jerry Garcia thing where it's like bright and like he had the phase switches on his guitars. It does that well with this control turned over. And And it instantly changes as I turn that bass content up on that control. Someone said to dime it. So dimed Hannah Montana bypass emitter, bypass cap control. Dimed in the sense of the body control has all the bass content. And then you would have to say this is dimed because that's as low as the bias goes, right? To see the number. So that's the most gain potential. This is dimed, and here we are, humbuckers. Check it out. All right, now I'm going to do something that I have not done, and I don't do it because I'm at my house and, you know, there's life going on upstairs. I'm actually going to pull the aux out, and I have a 57, so I have the Sobtech, and I have a 112 2-rock cab, and I'm going to let you hear the circuit moving some air through the amp, and then we'll be done playing it. So I'm going to turn this up carefully. I'm doing it on the fly, so I'm going to watch my levels. See, the real amp does what a real amp does. The edges are more soft. The clipping is more like, there's a lot of loss of fizzle, which is like, this circuit sounds beautiful to do an amp. So that's always the struggle with this setup, but you're getting to hear it. I also love in the comments, it's so hard with this series. Someone's like, can you put a germanium in? I'm like, that was the last episode. Like, there's an entire hour about that. But yeah, if any of you who watch this can help other people, that'd be great. I catch comments and I'm like, oh, they don't know. Let them know. And thanks for doing that. I'll play it a little bit more and then we'll wrap up. We have to give away the Boost to Drive a Fuzz. So in the comments, while I keep playing this Copper Sound, let's do that. Let's do that giveaway. If you haven't already, let's give it away because I'm going to wrap it up here in the next 10 minutes. It sounds so good. You can definitely push it into some fuzz. I like the bias around 4 for me. I love kind of this sweet spot of not dimed, but a little bit more of the bass. This all the way is almost a 1 UF because it's in parallel. It just feels really good. All right, that is it. Let me turn my amp off. This is cool. We did it together. 11.5 hours studying the Electra Distortion. What a amazingly beautiful, simple circuit from the 70s that went into this early internet thing, and now we have the Shrieking Eel. Keep in mind, if you're watching, this section is actually, I made an error. I will re-upload. There's a link in the description of this document. Come back in about an hour after this stops, and this will be corrected. I'm very sorry about that. Looks like we gave away the kit, and what that refers to is Copper Sound has my last short circuit finalized thing done. The LPB1 booster drive, a fuzz. There's about 4 or 5 episodes on this. You can buy this right now at their website, and if you go to Copper Sound, they have all this amazing resource for doing this type of stuff that you've been seeing me do here. So cool. You can just buy the parts, or you can buy a full kit. But if you buy the parts, is what it looks like. You have a drop-down menu. Here's the boost to drive a fuzz. They even took my handwriting and put it on there. So check them out. And also, yeah, let me close that off. Again, I just want to state, like, I don't make anything from this. I actually told them, I was like, let's keep the price low. I don't care. I just love this community, and I love the excellence that they do everything in. So that's it. Just like the LPB1 has that kit, the Shrieking Eel will probably be for sale in a few weeks. I'll leave that up to Copper Sound. I'm going on a 3-week vacation, much needed, and short circuit will not happen, to be quite honest, for about a month, about 4 weeks. I'll take about 4 weeks off from it because I'll get back. I have Fretboard Summit right after that. I won't see you. This is my last public appearance until after my vacation, so you won't see me for about a month. If you're in the Chicago area in about 4 weeks, you should come out to the Fretboard Summit. Google Fretboard Summit Chicago, get you a ticket. I'll be building 1966 series fuzz pedals, real germanium, vintage style pedals, giving them away. I'll also be hosting a science fair. You could bring your own quirky invention, and I will talk about it. We'll be in an auditorium. That's fun. It's a real science fair for nerds, and that event's really special. Bell will be there. Nick will be there. Blake Mills is playing Friday night. Thursday night, I'm actually jamming, me, Nick, and Rhett. Nick's doing a solo set of his music. it's a good time. If you're in Chicago, that'll be my next thing. And then after that, I'll get back to these. So yeah, we gave away a 3 series. Come see us in Chicago. Thanks for supporting all of this. The Shrieking Eel will have an updated document in just a few minutes. I'll fix that really quickly and re-upload it. But I don't know what else to say. I'm checking these comments really quickly. I think I'm good to go. This has been fun. This has been a ton of fun. I love you all. I love this series, and you have surprised me. I wondered if anyone would care about this or enjoy it. But here we are, episode 12. We're probably 18 hours of breadboarding, and I'm having a ton of fun. So that's it, everyone. I don't think I forgot anything. I'm assuming we gave away the booster driver fuzz. Thank you, Copper Sound. The link in the descriptions. There's 3 that matter, and I'm out. The link to this schematic, it'll be updated in about an hour. Then there is the link to Copper Sound. Go support what they're doing. They're amazing. And you can buy my last design and build it for yourself. And the third link that should be in the description is Brian Wampler has a really brilliant, true course on pedal building. We started this around the same time. Brian's a veteran. I've learned from him. He's the OG of this. I would not be doing it without the knowledge that I have learned from him. MJD Burns says, Josh, you're the Hannah Montana of breadboarding. I'm out on that. Much love. Have a wonderful night.